Okay. Okay, I'm back. See, we got some orders in. We gotta make them, or else people will get very upset with me. So let's just get going. All right. Let's see. Machine's heating up. That is going. I got something cutting right now. So in a few minutes or so, you're gonna have to walk with me to get those out. And while the machine's heating up, we're gonna get everything else ready. Okay, everybody. Let's see. What is going on in the world that we want to talk about? We can talk about so many things. This morning, of course, if you haven't heard, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, was acquitted on most of the counts. He was charged with basically 5 different things: the RICO, trafficking, two counts of trafficking, the RICO stuff, all kinds of fun things. Well, if you guys haven't heard, he was acquitted on everything except for the 2 counts of trafficking involving Cassie and the other lady that he was with. This is so great. The interesting thing about this is I've been saying for days, weeks now that I felt like the prosecution on the Diddy Puff Daddy case, they overreached, and I had a feeling that this is where things were heading when we saw earlier last week that they dropped the kidnapping and the arson charges. Like, I said it back then that I was expecting more from the prosecution on this. I was expecting for them to have some sort of like witness or person that can talk more about the arson stuff, because the only thing they had was Kid Cudi's testimony, and Kid Cudi's testimony was great. I mean, don't get me wrong, he did his part, right? But that was the only part of it. But they never addressed the main issue that I had with the Kid Cudi car bombing issue. They never addressed it. The prosecution messed up on this part, and I think they knew they messed up. That's why they dropped the charges as they were getting to the end part of the trial. You see, the problem they had was there was that line during Kid Cudi's testimony, and I'm still weirded out why nobody talked a lot about it. He said, and I've been saying it on here for a good many times and many days now. Kid Cudi said, where they were like, where were you when you found out that your car was firebombed? I was at, this is what Kid Cudi said, I was at my ex-girlfriend's sister's house. Like, when I heard that, literally the first thing I thought was, that's a strange place to be, because usually, I mean, I don't know, maybe Kid Cudi runs, maybe you run in a different way, you know, when you're in that circle, but usually when you break up with somebody and then they have family and whatnot, for me, personally, I don't hang out with any of them anymore. Once I break up with somebody, or I feel like once you break up with someone, you cut ties with anybody that has to do with that person, right? You lose that whole branch of the tree that you just built. And so I thought it was sort of strange that he was at his ex-girlfriend's sister's house. I don't know. And then they find female DNA in Kid Cudi's car. So like, that was an issue, and I thought the prosecution had more to it that we didn't know. You know what I mean? Where they're like, oh, maybe they have a conspirator, a witness or something that they gave immunity to talk more about it. But no, they just moved on. They literally just moved on. And then so I'm all like, that's strange, because the Kid Cudi thing, literally his testimony ties into the arson and kidnapping. And they never like went back to address any of those things with any support. You know, they just like, here, Kid Cudi said that this happened, and this is the story we heard. They didn't bring in anybody to talk more about it, and that's why they dropped it. Like, so dumb. I and I've said it before. I said it when we first started getting the details on the first few days of this case. Right? If you can go back and watch it. I started a whole series on, you know, covering the Diddy case day by day. And then I stopped. I stopped covering it because I thought that back then I already started saying it, that they don't have enough to get him, and it was going to be the same and same every time because they kept on repeating the Cassie stuff. And I was saying then the Cassie stuff has nothing to do with what they're really charging him with, right? And they kept on talking about it, they kept on playing it. I was like, and everyone you talk to, they're like, oh, you seen the Cassie video? That's terrible. Yeah, I'm not saying Diddy's a great guy. He's a terrible person, it seems like. He's a terrible boyfriend, terrible, you know, whatever. But it wasn't enough. That's really what it was. It wasn't enough. They focused too much on the Cassie stuff. And today when I was driving around, I was thinking more about this, and I was thinking like how the prosecutors basically lumped in a whole bunch of stuff. And you know, the whole court system itself, you know, they need to make money. They need cases to make money. Prosecutors need case to make money. The judges need cases. If there are no crimes, right? If there's nothing for them to kind of like work on, then the judges, the prosecutors, they don't have a job. So like they have to find stuff to charge them with, and they overreached. I was in the reason that's why I stopped like really covering the Diddy case, because at that point I already knew that they didn't have a very strong case. At least on the RICO stuff. All the other stuff, what he actually got charged with was the 2 counts of trafficking. Basically, he transported the workers across state lines, and that's realistically that was the main thing that he cannot get away from. And so no matter what, even yesterday, was it yesterday? And I saw that they reached a verdict on 4 of the 5 things. I already knew he was guilty on some stuff. There was no way he was getting out of the trafficking stuff. They didn't even bother to the defense didn't even bother to make a defense against that. No, like, hey, we're just buddies and they are just hanging out with me. That's where I was thinking they're gonna go with that. At least if I was Diddy's team, that's the defense that I would have gone up with. But again, I'm just some guy in my garage making random things, talking about it. But I thought that was the defense that they were gonna go with, because there was a point early on where, what was it? Was it the Punisher guy or the other guy? One of the workers that they had testified, he said that, you know, he at some point he just liked hanging out with them. You know, he enjoyed the lifestyle and he just wanted to be around it. I thought they were gonna go with the defense of, hey, they're just friends and we're just hanging out, you know. You know, sometimes these people just want to fly over the state lines, and oh, Diddy's so nice and he just happens to pay for it, you know. I thought that's where they're gonna go, but they ended up not doing that at all. But I don't know. That was the only defense that I could think of that it would make sense. And I've said this gajillion times. I said this in the beginning. I've said it now. I'm saying it now. If you are engaged in this kind of activity that Diddy was engaged in, what did we learn, everybody? What did we learn? Support the local economy, guys. Like, seriously, he would not be in this he would not have this problem if instead of flying, like I don't understand why he needs to fly these people around. You know what I mean? If he just, sorry, you gotta come with me. I'm still cutting stuff, so come with me. Okay. If he just got local talent in the local, in a way, this is what athletes do, right? Athletes do this. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't have somebody. Usually, people, sorry. Usually, people of his stature, they have lawyers on retainer, right? Like criminal attorneys on retainer would usually how it works is you pay them an annual salary or annual retainer. Like, hey, you pay me, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000 per year, and it's kind of like a flat thing where it doesn't matter if how many cases you have or whatnot. You have access to this lawyer, and they will, in a way, advise you throughout the year, and you can chat with them, and you just tell them what you're up to, and they kind of help you, or they send out like cease and desist letters, or they're like when you have a lawyer like that, like a criminal lawyer on retainer. They're kind of like your fix-it man, right? Throughout the year, and then if you get into a court case, they'll have some kind of discounted rate for you. But throughout the year, you can like do things, right? I'm surprised that Diddy didn't have a lawyer on retainer. I'm pretty sure he did, but nobody advised him on not flying the workers from one state to another. It seems pretty basic. If he didn't do that, if he didn't fly the workers from one state to another, we will be talking about a completely different situation for him right now. So, again, I'm going to say this. If you're engaged in that kind of activity, I'm not engaged in that kind of activity. I'm just saying, if that's what you're into, support the local economy and only get local talent. Isn't that what, like, I mean, P. Diddy, Puffy, I'm going to call him Puffy because that's, when I grew up, that's what he was known as, okay? If he just did that, we would be talking, he wouldn't even be facing anything right now because he would have gotten away with everything, right? But they're getting him on the trafficking because there's no way that he can fight that at this point, because literally it's, if you move a worker from one state to another, they got you, right? And that's what he did. He flew some workers from one state to another state, and there's no way to get around that. And I believe the sentencing on that is 10 years for each charge. Someone can correct me. That's the number that I saw. It was 10 years for each charge, so he got hit with 2 of them. Maximum sentence, I'm sorry, is of 10 years for each one. Most likely they'll work it down to 5. Okay, I'm throwing it out there right now. Sentencing for P. Diddy, Puffy, 5 years. Okay, remember this date. I said it first. 5 years. And that's where I'm gonna guess where it ends up. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like I was right for about a lot of the stuff during the Diddy case so far. That they didn't have him on the RICO thing. They literally overreached on that. You know? So, again, everybody, if you're gonna engage in that kind of activity, support the local economy. Do what the other athletes and rappers do. They fly to these cities. James Harden, great example. Okay? He plays games all over the country, and then he visits the club in all over the country. I mean, he's like a VIP member in some of these establishments, right? And that's what Diddy should have done. Imagine if he did that. P Diddy, if you're out there. I mean, you're not gonna be out here, but I'm just saying, um, you could hire me as your advisor. I would love to advise you on stuff. Just call me up, and I'll advise you on stuff like this. Where if you're going to engage in this activity, don't fly the people around, and support the local economy. Get local talent. That's what I'm going to say. That's literally if if Puffy got local talent. Oh, okay, I got it. Even better, okay? Even better. Maybe okay, let's say Puffy likes a certain person. I don't know. What was that guy? The Punisher? Let's say he doesn't want to get local talent. Right? And he likes to have a certain person all the time. Who knows, okay? This is what you do. You move you don't move them. You have them relocate. Different word, different term. Get them a house, they live there. No, oh, okay, I got it. Get them an apartment. It doesn't have to be a good one. I'm just saying, get an apartment. If you like, again, Puffy, if you're out there, okay, I'm pretty sure this will work. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but hey, it makes sense to me. If you like a certain person, I mean, he's already paying these people like $10,000 for each session, right? Here's the easy fix for Puffy in the future. Future Puffy, remember this. If you're gonna get talent from another state, right? And you this is the person you love. This person, this person applies the baby oil in a way that you've never seen before, or the glisten of this person is what you like. Like everything about whatever you're seeing, the shine or whatever is what you like. Get a apartment or a lease, right? It doesn't have to be a fancy place. Under that person's name in the state that you're in. You're already paying beforehand. You see where I'm getting with this? Then you can say that that person lives there and you're not transporting them across states to engage in these activities. They live here. They live there. You know? See? Problem solved. I don't know if this will work, but I'm just saying, in the future, again, Puffy, if you're out there, you're not going to be out here, but if you're out there, support the local talent. Call James Harden, okay? He's a professional at this. You get the talent at each club that you're going to. You don't fly them, okay? You fly them, you're gonna end up like Puffy. Think about that. He got off on everything except for the transportation part. So, in the future, he can get as much baby oil as he wants as long as he is not moving them from state to state. That's what we learned from the Puffy situation. Do not move the talent from state to state. Okay? Okay, what else is on my mind that I want to talk about? Well, I talked a little bit about this earlier, but I want to talk about the BBB, the Big Beautiful Bill. There's this thing that I saw that was very interesting about it. Is that the increase in ICE's funding from the BBB is crazy. Okay, if you guys don't know, in the Big Beautiful Bill, there's this part in there where they increase the funding for ICE up to, I believe, until 2029. And they increased their funding by like $30 million a year. 30 billion dollars a year until 2029. So in total, from now whenever this, if nothing gets changed from now until 2029, ICE gets directly. This is not counting the other stuff that they're indirectly funding to them. If you count the indirect stuff, I believe the number is closer to $170 billion that gets relocated towards ICE activities. But directly, in the Big Beautiful Bill, there's provisions for ICE to have their funding increased to about $30 billion a year until 2029. Now, the part that I find very interesting about this is if you take that number, now this is if you count in the indirect. I believe the indirect has to do with the walls, the border walls. But just saying directly, $30 billion a year will put ICE above some countries for their annual spending budget for their military. You know what I mean? The ICE will now have a bigger budget than some full countries' military. That's a very interesting part, I think, about the bill, that is not really talked about, because it's kind of like, what are they gearing up for? They say it's for increased mass deportations, and they got to build out these facilities. There's Alligator Alcatraz that's gonna cost like $400 million. That's being funded through FEMA, which is also very interesting. But yeah, if you add in the indirect and total up, ICE will now have more money for their operations than most of Europe. Any of the European countries, like I'm talking like Germany, UK, France, when ICE will basically almost match them or surpass them in their how much money they have to deploy operations. That's insane. Like, think about that. That means that if we took the funding that we have towards ICE and they hire a whole bunch of people and they get a whole militia together or army or whatever, they can go out there and compete with whatever Germany is doing. Isn't that fun? Like, I know they say that, it's for them to ramp up. Let's see, what is this? Deportations and whatnot. But like, they're trying to hit these numbers, which I feel like, sorry if I'm moving you guys everywhere. I'm still getting everything set up. And that takes a little while. These numbers that they're trying to hit seem to me that they're unattainable, at least for the long run. These numbers that they're trying to reach, ICE is trying to reach, is insane in a way, because they're trying to reach 1 million people annually, deported out, kicked out of America. And at some point, I think they're already at that point, to be honest, you're going to run out of people to deport. It seems like they're already at that point, because I don't know, you guys have been paying attention to some of the, sorry, I'm trying to get this thing set up. All right. Paying attention to some of the people that are getting swept up in the whole ICE thing. And these mistakes are going to happen. That's not the issue, but it seems like it's becoming more and more of a problem as time's going on. And I feel like it will become a bigger problem as time goes on, because they're going to run out of people to deport, right? But the funding that they have is for the next 5 years, right? Until 2029. But I feel like they've already been running out of people to deport. That's why they're hitting up like businesses and and like people that, you know, they keep saying they're gonna go after the criminals, but it doesn't seem that way. But because, you know, they're trying to hit their numbers. We've all been there. you you ever been there at the end of the month and you're trying to drive around and all of a sudden you know, like you've been driving this path every day for the last, like, I don't know, months or whatever, and it's never a problem. But once you get to the end of the month and police officers need to hit their quotas, hit their numbers or whatever, it becomes an issue, and that's when they start issuing tickets. That's what it seems like ICE is up against all the time. They're trying to get to 3,000 arrests a day, right? And then annually, 1 million. Well, that's great. We're only 6 months in, right? And it feels like they're already running out. So imagine what's gonna happen 5 years from now, especially when the ISIS budget, if passed in this current bill, I mean, their budget right now is 10 billion. This new bill shoots it up to $30 billion a year, right? And then if you take it out to the long term, 80 or $100 billion up until 2029. Just think about what 2028 is going to look like when they've already deported almost everyone they could. Because you see these stories, like I saw this one story yesterday, and again, who knows of what's real and what's not real, but it sounds very plausible. They arrested, ICE came and arrested this landscaper, and apparently his children he's got like 3 sons, and they were all like Marines or something of that nature. And then, you know, they showed interviews of these people, and they were like, oh, I can't believe it, this country like gave us so much, and you know, we want to serve, so we did, and then this is how they treat our father. I saw that story yesterday. I saw a story about a grandma that was arrested by ICE. They supposedly, in this story, they picked her up when she was outside her door. Like, the part of the story what I found interesting is that they said that she married an American guy. She's got kids here. She's been here. She's Iranian, which I think this part of the story makes it like, ugh, she's not as likable. It makes her not as likable, the Iranian aspect, you know? And they said that, oh, she's from Iran, and she's been here for like 50 plus years. She's raised kids here. She has grandkids here. She's married to this white guy. She started a business here. Like, she's done everything here. And the reason why she doesn't have her citizenship is because of some paperwork issues that she has, because of she's from Iran, and I guess they don't, you know, like that. And but they gave her a stay order, like she can stay. It's just that they're not going to give her citizenship, you know. And then they picked, according to this news segment that I saw, they just picked her up, run in front of her house, and her husband didn't even know. Like, literally, just like got her. I think the part of the story where I don't find believable is that they just, at least like when I'm around my house personally, right? I'm not hanging out in front of my house, so I'm just, I don't know. Did they wait? Maybe this is the part of the story where I should go investigate on the exact details. But all I know is they picked her up in front of her house before she made it inside her house, and her husband didn't even know that she was missing. Like, what is she doing in front of her house? Unless they nabbed her as she was coming home, like they just like staked out her house until she came home. They just nabbed her. That's something that they could do, you know. That's the only way I could see that how that happened. Because here's the thing, the reason when you see ICE like nab people that they're looking for like that, they know where these people are because of the court cases, you know, like that they have with the government, right? Like, they're like, oh, you guys have to check in, you have to tell us where you are and whatnot. And then they're like, great, we have a list, and they just nab these people. What's gonna happen once they run out of those kind of people to nab though? Because I thought they're supposed to be going after like criminals and stuff, but I don't see a lot of stories about criminals, and maybe unless the media is doing a terrible job of letting us know who the criminals are that they're trying to nab, you know. But I feel like if you were Fox News or any of those channels, you would be highlighting that like crazy. Like, hey, look at this guy they just nabbed. But I don't see any of those stories that they nabbed someone that they're supposed to nab. It's always the story of they got someone they were not supposed to get. So that part is kind of like tough, I always feel like. All right, everything's set up. Now I can start pressing these things. I'm glad to get this order out. This one's been sitting on my table for the longest time because I was missing one of the onesies, you know? Okay, what else? I mean, the main thing that's on my mind still is the Big Beautiful Bill. I want to talk a lot more about the Alaskan Senator Lisa Murkowski. I believe that's her name. Like I mean, I know I made a small video about it, just the quick highlight, the quick points, but like her situation to me makes me so angry about just how the process of government works, you know? If you guys don't know, the Lisa Murkowski, or whatever her name is, from Alaska, right? Her story, if you hear her story, I feel like it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on, you just listen to this story, and I feel like it should infuriate you a lot. So the Big Beautiful Bill was up for vote yesterday, right? And the big concern was this senator from Alaska. She was a holdout, and they needed to win her vote so badly, right? Because it literally, this thing passed 50-50 with Vance doing the tiebreaker, right? So if she didn't vote for it, it wouldn't have passed. And how they got her vote is infuriating. That's what I'm saying, where it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. If you think about it more, it's actually like disgusting how they got her vote. They carved her state, they exempt her state from all the cuts, you know? And so she basically sold, I mean, if you are from her state, I guess you're going great job. She's doing what she's supposed to do. She's representing her people. But at the same time, if you think about what she did, if you think about it more, it tells you that this bill is bad. That, right? If it's so good, wouldn't you want your state to be part of it? No, she's like, no, keep Alaska out of the bill, and I'll vote for you guys. Right? That's the message she's singing. Like she's saying, you know, like, oh, screw the rest of the United States. As long as Alaska's doing well, I don't give a f about what you guys are up to out here in the mainland, you know. So she basically sold out the rest of America for her state, which, you know, it's a disgusting thing to do, but hey, that's what she's there for, right? She's there for her state, not for, I don't know, Idaho or whatever. So she did her part, but at the same time, like afterwards, she was like, "Oh, this thing is disgusting. I can't believe, you know, I hated voting for it." Then don't. Then don't. Like, I've been saying this, what was gonna happen. Like I said it like way before we heard that the bill got passed. I was like, oh, when I saw that they were voting on it today, like that day, this was yesterday. What did I say? You guys can go back and watch when I was talking about it yesterday. I said what's going to happen is this thing is going to pass. And it's gonna pass, and because it's really different from what the Congress passed, they're gonna have to re-vote on it in Congress. So like literally, all those senators, what they were really doing was they're like, oh, it's not my problem anymore. Like, I just vote on it, and it goes down to Congress, and if it dies there, then it's not my fault. You know what I mean? They're just trying to save face. They're always trying to do that, where they just kicked every single problem down the street and never solve anything, right? So that's basically what they did yesterday. A lot of them knew. I don't know if they admitted this or not. I mean, that Alaskan senator admitted it. She hated the bill, and she voted yes on it for it so it can move down to Congress, right? And she's hoping that they make the changes that need to be made. They're not going to make the changes that needs to be made. She's hoping Congress makes the changes that needs to be made, and then it goes back up to them. And what they could do with this whole situation, right? And again, the text on both sides, Congress and the Senate, needs to match up. So what I'm predicting what's going to happen is Congress voted it yes to move it to the Senate. They already knew back then that the Senate were going to make changes, right? And the minute they knew that the changes were being made, they voted yes on it, because they're like, oh, it's not going to be our problem. It's going to be the Senate's problem, right? Nobody likes this thing. It's going to be the Senate's problem. You guys fix it. And then the Senate right now, like literally they just proved this. They're saying, hey, we don't like this thing. We're going to vote yes on it, but it's not our problem. It's your problem now. You guys fix it. And so what's going to happen now? Congress has to go through it. They're going to make changes. And then they're going to be like, they're all going to vote. Any holdout that you're hearing about, forget it. What they're going to do is they're going to vote yes, right? Whatever the version of it is, they're going to work out some back deal or whatever. And then they're going to vote yes. Because what they're going to do is literally they're going to kick it back up to the Senate and be like, hey, it's your problem now. You guys fix it. And then the Senates are going to make whatever changes they're going to make. And then they're just going to, it doesn't matter, whatever the issue is, they're going to vote yes. The line that you should hate the most in politics is they got in line. Like literally they always get in line. It doesn't matter what the problem is. They get in line. Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. Get in line. If you're not with us, you're against us. And then so they're gonna just kick it down the road, and it's gonna be someone else's problem, and they're gonna vote yes. Either way, they're gonna vote yes. They always do. They're gonna vote yes. And then we're going to get to the point where, since everybody voted yes, they're going to get to a point where there's no more changes to be made, and then that's what you're going to get stuck with. And then that's that. I don't know. I haven't seen anyone that actually really, really likes this bill. But maybe I'm in a different space than the people that like this bill. Right? I also agree that there's so much, I agree a lot with what Elon said about the bill. I'm not a big fan of Elon, but it's true what he said. They are selling out our future for stuff like industries that are in the past. Like the coal stuff is so stupid. It is the most ridiculous thing ever. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about coal. It's like a romanticized time in American history that the coal miners were a thing. We saw what happens. Like they think that the coal mining jobs are going to come back or something like that. Coal mining jobs are never coming back. It doesn't even make sense for coal mining jobs to come back. You know why? Because we saw this happen already. The last time Trump tried to save the coal mining industry, what happened? Like literally, he wasn't like we saw what happened with the coal miners. He tried to bring them back. He gave them extra funding, extra money, to save the coal mining industry. And what did they do? They didn't hire any more people. They said that, oh, you guys got extra money. We're gonna reopen the coal mines, and you're gonna have coal mining jobs. What happened? The coal mining overlords, all they did with all that extra funding and extra money and extra incentive was they just got more robots. You know what I mean? Like, coal mining jobs are not coming back. The only thing that the coal mining people are gonna do with any extra funding that they get is get more robots. They're like, oh great, we got more money for more robots. Oh, you guys need more coal? We'll get more robots. The coal miner is gone. It doesn't even make sense. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen that viral video of like the coal miners, right? Where they're like these two guys, they're in a coal mine and they're like they have a pickaxe and they're like chopping away at the coal deposits or whatever. Like that video is extra viral, right? The coal miners that are in the coal mine. You guys have seen that video, right? There's no way you haven't seen that video. It's like two coal miners. I don't know what country they're in, but they're in there. They got a pickaxe, and you see them like actually like picking coal mine or whatever. That's in a third world country, and then you gotta think like, hey, which American wants to do that job? And then you gotta think, it's a very dangerous job, with lots of like health issues and workers' comp issues. Like that's literally what the coal mining overlords are thinking about every time they like send their workers into the coal mines. They're like, workers' comp, workers' comp, workers' comp. Someone gets hurt, workers' comp. Oh, I can get a robot. Literally, they have the robots. This is what happened last time. The coal miners got overlords got funding. They got all this incentive. They got all this money from Trump, and they didn't hire any more coal miners. They just got more robots. And they're like, this is great. We get all this extra coal from these robots. No workers' comp. This is wonderful. And they're gonna be burning sweet, beautiful, clean coal. And it didn't revive any of those coal towns. So what do you think is gonna happen if they give the coal miners more, these coal mining overlords more money? This is what they're gonna do. They're gonna get an extra robot. Oh man, you guys need more coal? You need more production? Oh, we'll just get another robot. So it's not solving that issue. You can't go backwards in these jobs. Like imagine if this was like the 20s or whatever. And well, not even 1920s. Let's just say it's the 90s, right? And you make the old school big giant TV. That's what your business is. That's what you do. You make the old school giant TV, and then the new flat screen TVs come out, and you're like, and your family or whatever, they don't know how to make the new flat screen TVs, but you're like, hey, but you're big in like somebody in government, and you're like, hey, stop them from making the flat screen TVs. The people they need the big TV. The flat screen TV causes, I don't know, zombieism, cancer or whatever. You need the tube TVs. Tube TVs is it. And then there's some government intervention, and we get stuck with tube TVs, but they have the ability to make flat screen TVs. That's literally what this feels like for the coal mining stuff. Like, they're not gonna go back. It is what it is, guys. You can't go back. Or just the AI stuff. It's out there. And then you're gonna be like, hey, you know what, you guys? You're not allowed to use AI at all in your jobs. Go back to the old way of doing things. You're not allowed to use ChatGPT at all. Did you guys see the clip of that the graduate from UCI? Oh no, UCLA. One of them. He they showed him and he was like, check out my computer. I got straight A's or whatever with using ChatGPT. And that's how it's gonna be now. Right? Like you can't uninvent the calculator just because mathematicians hate the calculator because they spent all this time learning how to do long form math when the calculator exists, right? I don't know. It doesn't make sense for us to go back. It's too late now. Too late. It's too late. Oh, I'm on my last thing. I'm on my last thing. Move on to packing. Alright, last three things. And then I'll be done. Work on other stuff. Okay, what else? What else is on our minds? What else do you guys want to talk about? Okay, chill. Let me with this paper first. Let me see. What else is big and we want to talk about? I don't know. I feel like the big beautiful bill is a big talking point. Ooh, all right. Boom, boom. Chill and grill. Someone ordered 3 of these. Hope I get them out in time. Before, I'm assuming these are for someone's barbecue, but I don't know. They bought 3 of them. Why do you need 3? Why do you need 3? The power of 3 compels you. Let's see. Oh, I mean, unrelated, somewhat related. We could talk about the Elon situation. I just thought it was funny that Trump was talking about possibly deporting him, and I was saying that seems impossible because he's got so many. Okay, here's the thing, right? I know it's fun to joke about, but if they are able to deport Elon, that means they could deport anybody. Anybody they want. You're all on the table. All on the table, guys. Last thing. Okay, I got it. This is what we're going to talk about. If they're gonna, so ICE is gonna get all this funding, right, to make more facilities, and they're gonna reopen Alcatraz, and they're gonna work on Alligator Alcatraz, right? So that's north. I mean, that's the west coast, and then they got southeast, right? I feel like they need to have a Alcatraz for every single section of America, right? Let's see. So they got west coast covered with regular Alcatraz. They got the southeast covered with Alligator Alcatraz. That means northeast, they need their own Alcatraz. The Middle America needs their own, and I guess Northwest needs their own Alcatraz. So let's just come with some fun Alcatrazes that they could have in each section of America. Okay. Which one do you guys want to tackle first? I don't know. Central America. Ooh, what would you call their Alcatraz? Because Central America, when I think about when I say Central America, I'm talking about in the mid America, right in the middle. it's like when I think of there, I can't think of anything super dangerous that they have. What's if you're in the middle of America? What is like the thing that is like super dangerous? Because like in the you know in Florida, they have alligators. In regular Alcatraz, they have the sharks, the great whites that are surrounding. Middle America, what can they do? What's in the Middle America that you would say? The only thing when I think about Middle America, I just think about tornadoes. You can't have tornado Alcatraz. That is so unpredictable. You need a natural deterrent in every single Alcatraz. Hmm. Oh, okay. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. In the middle of America, they could have the cliff. No, the plains. All right, the plain, and it's an Alcatraz that is. Is that in the middle of America where they have the plateaus, like the flat areas, or is that more of like a Nevada-ish area thing, or Colorado thing? Which, but that's a great like maybe Texas has it where they have those like the mountains with the flat tops, and you build an Alcatraz on top of that. And then so even if they escape, then they have to like scale the cliffs to get down. the they call it the top Alcatraz. So, come up with a fun name for it. But that's a great one. You build a prison on top of a like each one of these prisons. I guess they're trying to go for like cartoony supervillain ideas and vibes. Let's see. Uh, in the Northwest, well, that's where they film Alone. So I guess it will most likely be like the the icicle, right? Where it's an Alcatraz in like the snow, and then if you try to escape, you just freeze. Right? Boom, done. Uh, let's see, the northeast. What kind of? That's like a woodsy area. I, the bear? You call it the bear? Like, oh, but bears are going extinct. That's undependable. Independable. Undependable. Oh my god. But yeah, like each Alcatraz, the wolf, and they'll just like release a bunch of wolves all around that Alcatraz, and if you try to escape, the wolves will get you. I don't know. Anyways, I'm done here. I'll be back. Time to take a break. Thanks for hanging out. See you guys later.